38 goals last year. And it's like, man, could really use that in the Maple Leafs lineup right now to lengthen out this Leafs team, give them a little bit of that truculence that Nazem Kadri, gave that when Brian Burke drafted him so many years ago. But here we are, years later, still kind of looking at that trade, thinking, man, what could have been, what should have been. And Tyson Barrie, the experience wasn't great here in Toronto. He never really found his foot. Well, that's not true, actually. After Toronto, went to Edmonton. He did have 3 straight 40-plus point seasons. Only once did he have double-digit goals. Again, 22-23 at 10 goals in 61 games. And then last year, only played 13 games in the NHL with Calgary. Had 3 points in those 13 games, and then played 11 in the American League. Had 5 points in 11 games and decided, all right, that's enough. And Tyson Barrie hangs him up. So, good career, a good career. Played over 800 games, over 500 points for Tyson Barrie, over 100 goals. That's pretty solid for a defenseman. But the 1 year in Toronto just did not go well, and was probably one of the worst years that he had. Actually, it was statistically pretty much the worst year that he had as a pro. Once he established himself as a full-time NHLer,
yeah, because we don't count that one with Calgary. That was he was on a PTO, throw something on the wall. But I initially I was kind of I thought maybe this would be exactly what the Leafs need to get that right-hand shot defenseman, but it just never really panned out. Too bad, because during his time in Colorado, he was really good at scoring.
Man. He was a stud. He was like a winger.
14 goals, 13 goals. He could score double-digit goals. And Leafs fans now probably would like a defenseman that can do that on this team.
They would like have someone who could jump up and score a little bit more than what they're getting now. But again, that's not the identity of the current team. You talk about building a team to the coach. That's what they're doing now. The coach doesn't care about guys who can jump up and into the rush and score. Coach cares about defending your own net and being hard to play against. And that's what they've built. And Tyson Barrie, not that guy. He ain't that guy. And there's a lot of players out there, like an Erik Karlsson is a name that's been floated out there. Could the Leafs bring in an Erik Karlsson? He's not that guy either. I don't see that happening because it doesn't fit the mold of what this team wants to do and what Craig Berube wants to establish within the group. So I don't think we see any movement on the back end. Maybe there's still an opportunity for another addition in the forward group, but the blue line, I think, is pretty status quo. On the other side, let's get into the prospect ranking for the Maple Leafs, where they stack up against the rest of the league when it comes to their pipeline. We'll do that next here in the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. Mike DiStefano, Dave Morsuti with you as always. And the Maple Leafs have been ranked as the 26th best NHL pipeline according to Corey Pronman of The Athletic. So he's doing the series. He's going through every team of every team in the NHL, and he's ranking them, ranking their prospect system from 1 to 32, and the Maple Leafs coming in at number 26. Does that surprise you at all, Dave?
Not really, because the Leafs have a good couple of prospects, but they don't have the depth of prospects that some of these other teams that have also had a lot of high-end draft picks have been able to acquire.
Yeah. So under 23 is kind of the cutoff. So as long as you're still under 23 years old, that's the cutoff for being considered a prospect still for Corey Pronman, which means Matthew Nyes is still considered a prospect, which really props that up. You take Matthew Nyes off this list, it might be at the bottom, man. Like it very well could be at the bottom. I found it interesting. Like, of course, he did have Matthew Nyes here. They also considered him a below NHL average skater. I don't think that's true anymore. I think that he's certainly helped his skating. Like, I know that was the knock on him coming into the draft, and I don't know if Prodman just hasn't kept up with Matthew Nyes since then, but he certainly has improved his skating quite immensely, and I think he's NHL average at worst, not below. But regardless, considers his hockey sense average, considers his puck skills above average, and then he has high-end compete level. That's according to Corey Pronman. Easton Cowan came in as the number 2 prospect in the Maple Leafs pipeline, which we obviously expected. He considers him a middle-of-the-lineup player. Says he has NHL average skating, above NHL average puck skills, NHL average hockey sense, and then high-end compete level. I like the high-end compete level. The fact that both of the top players here for the Maple Leafs both have high-end compete levels, definitely what you like to see. Here's the analysis on Easton Cowan, Dave. Corey Prodman wrote, Cowan wasn't quite as dominant in the OHL this year as he was last season, but he was still a top player. He's a tenacious player who's always around the puck and plays with a high energy level. He isn't big, but he wins battles, creates offense in the high percentage areas. Cowan is a strong skating winger who's also very skilled, sees the ice well, and has perimeter offense. Whether his offense in the NHL will be special is debatable right now, but he's not the most dynamic 5'11" forward you will ever see. But his compete level should make him a middle 6 winger. There's a lot of people that, again, a polarizing prospect, Easton Cowan, because you've got some Leaf fans out there that believe that he is going to be like the Mitch Marner replacement, the second coming, a guy you can plug into the top 6, and he's going to put up the similar amount of numbers that he put up in the Ontario Hockey League. I'm not sure that's the case. Everyone I've spoken to considers him more of a middle 6 guy, not a top line guy. But we'll see. But he's got Easton Cowan ranked as the number 2 prospect. And sounds like he's got him ranked as pretty much an average to above average NHLer.
The funny thing is he lists him as a center, but then he talks about him being a middle 6 winger.
I know. Yeah, I don't know.
So it's a little nitpicking there, but yeah, I understand it. And here's the thing: if he is just a middle 6 player, so we're talking second line at best, third line at worst.
Yep.
Still pretty solid.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, there's a lot of first round picks that the Maple Leafs have made in the last 20 years that have not been middle 6 players. I can tell you that.
No, they haven't even made it to the NHL at some points too. Like,
right.
We just haven't really amounted to much. I know, like, they've tried a few defensemen. Both Liljegren and Sandin gone, right? Like, it's just those sort of things where, you know what, like, I have a bit higher hopes for Easton Cowan just because of what we have seen from him. Playing in his Memorial Cup tournaments have been pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah, I know people talk about that World Juniors. I don't think a World Junior tournament should ever really make or break a prospect, in my opinion. I think their overall body of work should. So, yeah. I'm surprised, like, just even going down. Like, I don't know if are we going to continue going down the list.
Well, yeah. Next up is Ben Danford, who was a first round pick the Leafs a couple of years ago. Playing for the Oshawa Generals. Again, another player with high compete level, and NHL average skating, below average puck skills, which we already knew. Hockey sense considered NHL average. He's a top player for the Oshawa Generals. But more of like a defensive defenseman, right? Right shot defensive defenseman who, I'm excited to get a look at because remember he was hurt last year in training camp. So we never actually got to see Ben Danford play in any games with the Maple Leafs. So, he's a big boy, 6'2", 194 pounds. He plays the style that Craig Berube wants to see. So I'm excited to see what Ben Danford